And this is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services in Harrison, New York. We have a good friend visiting the office, Charles Prescott. Charles is the founder of the Global Address Data Association, has had a very interesting career in direct marketing and is an attorney and working a lot of his time now with international post offices. And Charles, good to have you visit CBSI today.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Charles, you've got an interesting background. Just maybe describe your career. I know you had a long tenure, an interesting tenure at Reader's Digest.
Well, yes. One of my first jobs in the private sector as an attorney, I was asked to run their international law department at Reader's Digest and supervise work of the legal departments around the globe at the time in over 15 countries outside the borders. Great introduction to direct marketing and publishing and international law practice.
And you were at the Direct Marketing Association group I've had a wonderful relationship with over a long time. And working with a friend of mine, Bob Winston, when he was chairman of the DMA a few years ago. Just tell us a little bit about some of the things you worked on at the Direct Marketing Association.
Sure. As a matter of fact, Bob hired me into the DMA, and I had a wonderful 10 years there. And we did a number of very interesting projects, building up the membership, international membership of the DMA, and developing programs for our members to do more business overseas. I think my favorite project was to do trade missions. One we did to China for about a week, and one we did to Europe for about 10 days. Introduced a whole bunch of new concepts to the industry. Got a number of companies to go and set up shop overseas, and learned a great deal about marketing in this country and in other parts of the world where direct marketing is a different skill.
Now tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the Global Address Data Association. I know you're working on helping a lot of international post office operations, and you get to spend some time in Switzerland, I understand. Just tell us a little bit about some of the things you're working on.
Yeah, the nucleus of this, or the beginning of this, was my work at Reader's Digest and then at the Direct Marketing Association. So growing awareness of the influence and importance of postal systems, especially in the United States, the industrialized world, but they are critical institutions around the globe. And as I worked in the publishing business in the direct mail industry, I realized there is nothing more important for most people than their address, and they may not know that. A very famous economist from Peru, Hernando de Soto, once said that without an address, you do not exist. And in fact, about half of the world does not have an address. You think of the way you use an address as your own identity, your relationship to your government, your relationship to other people. The address is very critical. People find you through your address, they send you things through your address, and any good business, if you are a customer, will have your name and address on file, and that's the way they reach you. So an address is part of an identity, and much of the world doesn't have that. And I set up this association to advocate and educate posts around the world and governments around the world and influencers around the world to the critical nature of the need for an address. So that's what I do. I do a lot of my work at the Universal Postal Union. I started going there when I was at the Direct Marketing Association because we were asked to help form a direct mail advisory body at the UPU to help other postal systems around the world implement direct mail projects, products, and services. And we were fairly successful in that organizations still in existence and still going strong, helping posts get acquainted with the digital world and digital marketing. So again, it reinforced for me the importance of the address. And with time, I decided that I needed another orientation to the problem and formed the association to bring in support for lobbying for better address systems, to lobby at the UPU for more investment in helping countries establish address systems, and much of my work revolves around that.
And my impression of post offices around the world is that they would tend to vary one from another quite a bit, and some are more efficient, and some are still developing. What are some of the things that are keys to a solid postal delivery in any country today?
Oh, keys to postal delivery are the products that the postal system makes available, the location of offices of postal systems, and then their ability to protect and accurately deliver mail and parcels throughout the territory that they serve. The advances that many of the developing countries have made have truly been remarkable in improving delivery and security of the mail. And security is primary. It's absolutely primary. Postal systems date back to the 15th century, if not even before, and were institutionalized inside government bodies in the 19th century. The U.S. Postal Service actually predates our revolution. Benjamin Franklin was the head of that institution before and after our revolution. And the postal system, the U.S. Postal System, was given the tasks of building postal roads and delivering mail by boat throughout the nation. And it has played a remarkable role in the settlement and the industrialization of this country. In the advances in the 19th century with respect to mail are phenomenal. A British guy developed the postage stamp. It used to be sender pays. That's new. In the old days, you paid to receive a letter. And where I live in Lewisboro, New York, there is in the museum a letter from a young man who had emigrated from Lewisboro to St. Louis. And he sent a letter home and he said, "Why aren't you writing me? Don't you know I'd have a good job and I can afford to pay the postage?" Because in those days you paid to receive letters. The sender didn't pay. Developing sender pays was a revolution, and it could only work internationally after the formation of the body called the Universal Postal Union. The Universal Postal Union was the place where the nations of the world negotiate how much they will pay each other to deliver mail into a foreign destination. And that revolutionized international mail traffic, institutionalized it by government, and it blossomed phenomenally.
That's an organization I really did not know about, but obviously the function of coordinating postal delivery amongst nations is so important. Now, you mentioned the United States Postal Service, and earlier we were chatting about some efficiencies that you've seen be brought to the Postal Service, and I always have to compliment the Postal Service in delivering mail in this terrible weather we're having this winter. What do you see happening at the Postal Service? I know they have a new Postmaster General.
They do have a new Postmaster General, and she is a very experienced manager, and she is a real postal guy. I have a lot of confidence in her. The postal system is under constant pressure to change and become more efficient and to get smaller, which in some cases is good, some cases not. It has gone from an employed force of 900,000 people to something around 450,000 employees. It delivers every day to every address in this vast country. It is the largest postal system in the world, and I think one of the most efficient. For 49 cents, you can send a letter from Bangor, Maine to Hawaii. There is no greater bargain than that. As a marketing tool, direct mail still rules. I don't care what anybody says about email. The data that the Postal Service has generated shows that direct mail is still a great bargain. It's very effective. The postal system is now going through a revolution as first-class mail volumes are stable to down. General advertising mail is fairly secure, but they have a bunch of very, very bright people who develop new products and ideas, are constantly experimenting with them, and it is an institution that this country would not be as great as it is without.
And certainly here at CBSI, working with major banks and credit card issuers, there's still, despite email, we still see a preference by many customers to receive a paper statement versus email. So still a vital resource for the consumer banking industry.
Well, that's good, and for many industries that's true. There is a department of the U.S. Postal Service called the Office of Inspector General, and to your listeners, I urge them to go look at the OIG website. There are so many amazing research papers that they have done about the effectiveness of direct mail vis-a-vis other media, and transactional mail of things like delivering credit cards, delivering invoices. Their research shows that this is a much more effective way of making sure you have a tight relationship with your customer, and that's the way people would like to get their invoices, for example. But 80% of the population would not like to have an email invoice. There's something about that piece of paper that makes it more immediate and reminds you that you better pay by a certain date, otherwise maybe there's a penalty.
Absolutely. Now we're talking with Charles Prescott, who's the founder of the Global Address Data Association. Charles, what events have you got coming up, and how do people find out more about your information? Tell us about your website.
Well, we have our website. It's modest. I maintain it myself with my daughter's help because she's more digital than I am, being 23. It's globaladdress.org. We have a library of documents that relate to the address and to the postal systems worldwide that anyone is free to use. We have a newsletter that comes out periodically with events that are going on. I have just returned from Florida. I spoke at a conference there of global postal officials and the industry, and talked about the address and the need for addressing, especially more valuable now that we are shipping expensive parcels all around the world. Having a good address is critical. If a company's parcel goes missing to a bad address and it has to correct its file, there's a cost to that. In returning the parcel, there's a cost. $18 is what one research company has found. So that's critical. And that's pretty much it.
Charles Prescott, thank you for visiting us today at CBSI, and our best wishes in your work supporting virtually the international postal delivery system.
Well, we try to have an impact, and we do spend 2 to 3 weeks twice a year at the Universal Postal Union in Bern, Switzerland, which is where all the posts of the world come together for regulatory purposes and developmental and education purposes, and we play a role there in bringing to those posts the importance of the address and the importance of marketing.
Charles Prescott, founder, Global Address Data Association, good to see you. Good to have you visit here at CBSI, and we'll look forward to staying in touch.
Thanks, Ken.
This is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI, based in Harrison, New York.